Hi people, it's Annelia, and by the title, you already know what we're going to be talking about today. I was recently diagnosed with PCOS. This is kind of personal, but at the same time, the first place I went to get information after I left the doctor's office was YouTube. I mean, I went to Google as well, but mainly YouTube, and I was searching things. I was like, okay, since not a lot of people know about it or a lot of people are quiet about it, I don't mind sharing my story. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. Let's start with what is PCOS. PCOS stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome, or some people say polycystic ovary syndrome. It's the same thing, and it is basically a hormonal condition, and it's not curable. You can only try to manage it. It has a whole lot of symptoms. I heard about PCOS a few years ago, but I didn't know much about it, and I still don't know everything there is to know about it. But I am working with my doctor to figure things out when it comes to that. So something like this needs to start with a backstory. And so I'm going to take you guys back to when I first started experiencing symptoms of PCOS and I just didn't know that I had it. I first got my period in the 5th grade. So let's start there. So I got my first period. I was so excited about it. I felt like a woman. I'm like, yes, I have my period. And by the 3rd month, I was over it because PMS just kicked my butt, and I'm like, I don't even like this thing anymore. I don't know why I was so happy to bleed from my coochie in the first place, but you know, when the 3rd period came around, I realized that it was late. My mom had the talk with me at that point about, you know, periods, and you're supposed to see one every month, and when you're supposed to see it, and the dates weren't adding up. I do remember telling a family member that my period was late, and my mom was there too when I was telling this family member, and they were like, oh, don't worry about it, you just got your period what, 2-3 months ago. And sometimes it takes a while to regulate itself, so we just brushed it off. I will say I wasn't the best at keeping track of my period. I just wasn't that responsible back then. All through elementary school, middle school, high school, I got my period every month, but sometimes when I was keeping track, I would realize, oh, my period, it was constantly late, but I still brushed it off because I'm like, well, I'm still seeing a period. So I was like, okay. I didn't pay much attention to it, none of that. College rolls around and I'm in the United States for college. And I'm realizing that my period is becoming even more late than it used to be. I've always been extremely petite. If I can find an old picture of me, I'll put it up. I've always been really small, really petite. And then all of a sudden, it's like one day I woke up and I just started bloating up. Up to this day, I'm just bloating up. And the thing is, I do eat a tad bit more than I used to, but I don't eat nearly enough for me to be putting on as much weight as I've been putting on, and to be doing it so quickly. And this is kind of leading into the symptoms of PCOS. So spoiler alert, I just started really bloating up, just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I kind of convinced myself in my head that maybe you're eating way more than you think you are, but little did I know it was the PCOS causing me to put on so much weight. Back to the period thing, college rolls around, periods are even more late than usual, and now it's kind of in my mind like, okay, something might be wrong, but I still kind of brushed it off for a while. This happened the entire time that I was at my old college in America, and then I transferred to another college in America, and it was this one time I went to the health center on campus for a woman's exam. I just mentioned to them my period comes late every month, and then I said my period actually skipped a month and then came the next month. I don't think that's normal. Is everything okay? So then the doctor at the health center was like, we're gonna put you on birth control pills. This was the first birth control pill that I'd ever taken, and it was sprintec. I started taking the sprintec. I was consistent with it for about that entire semester, about 5-6 months, and then I just stopped taking it. When I stopped taking it, my period was still very much late every month. With the sprintec, it was on time. Without the sprintec, it was late again. In January of 2021, that was an extremely stressful time in my life. I had already seen a period earlier that month. Within a week, I saw my second period. So I had 2 periods within a week of one another. And I started freaking out. It was so crazy. And then a part of me was like, maybe it's stress. But then another part of me was like, Annelia, go to a doctor. So I went to a doctor. It wasn't on campus. I went to another doctor, off-campus doctor. And let me just say this. I went to this doctor, and this doctor was so nice to everybody else in there. Very nice. The minute he had to deal with me, his whole demeanor, his whole attitude, his whole facial expression, the tone in his voice changed. I went in there and I explained to him, hey, I'm having 2 periods. I don't know what's going on. And I said, something isn't right. He's like, nope, something isn't right. So I was like, okay, so do you know what's going on? He was like, I don't know what to tell. Like, in that same, like, don't care attitude, don't care tone of voice, short answer, just staring in my face, looking disinterested. I don't know what to tell you. Even if you're not an OBGYN, if a patient comes to you, you don't even try to say, maybe it could be this, maybe it could be that, maybe I could refer you to an OBGYN. He literally sat there. Yeah, something's not right. Something is definitely wrong. And then I'm like, can you tell me what it is? No, I kid you not. That is exactly how the conversation went with this doctor. He was like, I'll write you a prescription. I can't even remember what the prescription was for. I think it was like to stop the bleeding, or I don't know. I don't even remember. I was just so taken aback by the way he handled me as a patient, especially when just moments earlier he was so happy and the most talkative person, nice demeanor, was very bright and cheery, and then he looked at me. He just stepped in the room and his whole face changed. I was even afraid to go and pick up the medication that he had prescribed, because now I don't even trust you. And the thing is, he was like, let me write up a prescription. He gave me a prescription, gave me a very terrible description of what the prescription was for. Then he's like, okay, you could go out front and pay. Like, what the hell was I even paying for? You did nothing. You did not help me. But I went out and I paid and I got the prescription, took it. That was that. Fast forward, I'm back in the Bahamas. This is 2021. I realized my period is still skipping months. I'm getting a period this month, skipping next month, getting a period the next month, skipping the next month. And I'm like, this is most definitely not normal. Let me go to my doctor. So I go to a private doctor. She's really great. She's not an OBGYN, but that's the doctor who I go to for everything. So I went to this doctor and she asked me a whole bunch of questions. And then she was like, okay, I want you to lay down. So I laid down and she started feeling all over my tummy. And then she started pressing. She's like, does that hurt? Like, I'm trying to see if it's fibroids. And I'm like, no pain. So she's like, there's a lot of bloating. My body's holding on to a lot of fat. She wrote down a whole list of stuff that she thought it might have been, but she was more so focused on fibroids. So I, for a short while, thought that maybe I have fibroids. But on the paper, she had fibroids. She had PCOS with a question mark next to it. She had other stuff. And I just brushed off all the other things because she was so focused on the fibroids part. And she was like, I want you to go and take a ultrasound or a scan to look at your uterus and to see what's going on in there, or just to see what's happening if you have fibroids. And she was like, the scan probably would also be able to tell us if you have anything else. And like I said, she didn't even outwardly mention the term PCOS. She just like wrote it down on the paper that she gave me. So I just brushed it off. I really thought it was fibroids because my stomach now looks like a pregnant person's stomach. It's round and it's bloated. Usually that's associated with fibroids. She also put me on birth control pills, but it was a different type of birth control pills. She put me on, I think it's pronounced Femian. And so I was on that for a few months, and then I wasn't consistent with that either. So eventually I stopped. And then January 2022 rolls around. Remember, in January 2021, I saw 2 periods. In January 2022, I saw not one drop of blood, not one. And then February 2022, no period. March 2022, no period. April 2022, no period. May 2022, no period. I was like, I went to see the health center on campus. This was in early May, and they were like, we're gonna refer you to an OBGYN. Actually, let me rewind. In March, I went to the health center because I was like, January and February went by, I didn't see a period. So in March, I went and they prescribed me the same birth control pills, which was the first birth control pills that I ever took, which were the sprintec. So I took that for 1 month, and I suck at taking pills. So after that 1 month, I saw a period that 1 month, and that was it. And then I was back to seeing no periods. After March, and it was April, May, no period. Early May, the health center was like, we're gonna refer you to an OBGYN. I went to this OBGYN and she said, you know what? I'm gonna order a blood test for you. She didn't tell me what she thought was happening. She didn't tell me what she thought was wrong. She ordered the blood test. I went back early June and she read me my results. And she was like, your blood test shows that you have high testosterone levels. And then when you couple that with the fact that you have irregular periods and other symptoms, I come to the conclusion that you have PCOS. And then she asked me, does anybody in your family have PCOS? And I was like, not to my knowledge, but apparently people in my family do. I just didn't know at the time until like I told certain family members and they were like, I have that. And this is what got me. She said, when it comes to fertility, I don't like to tell my patients that it's impossible. I tell them that it's difficult. When she first said you have PCOS, my heart dropped. When she mentioned fertility, when she said that it would be difficult, my heart dropped to my ass, because anybody who knows me knows that I've always wanted kids. I've always wanted a lot of kids. I always wanted a big family. And for me to get the news that I might not be able to have kids, or it's going to be extremely difficult for me to have kids, it's just that like my mind went to the most negative first. Like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to have children. That is really what that is what hit me. Like, I cannot, what she said was, it's not impossible, it's just difficult. What I heard was, it's not gonna happen for you. You won't have any babies. That's what my mind was telling me. There was even this one time in one of my classes, my professor was like, apart from career goals, what are your life goals? And I was like, I want to get married and have a bunch of babies. And everybody laughed because I was like, I want 10 kids, but I do want a lot of children. I want a football team. I love the babies, okay? Yeah, so that part of it was devastating. But just hearing the word infertility, no. She asked me like, do you have any questions? I couldn't think of no questions because the only thing in my mind was I may never have children. She told me that she needs me to have a period because if I continue not to have periods, I can end up with cancer in the uterus. If I remember it correctly, when a woman is on her cycle, the uterus grows a thick lining, and then when you have the period, that lining sheds. But because I'm not having a period, that lining is growing thicker and thicker and thicker, and the thicker it gets, the closer I get to cancer. So she was like, definitely need to have a period, especially if I want to have kids. And she also mentioned too, growing facial hair and hair over your chest. I don't have a lot of these things. I'll tell you the symptoms I do have. I do have the irregular periods, and I do have the weight gain. I'll get back to explaining the weight gain part of it. And then I also do have the anxiety and depression because it is a hormonal condition. And so your mood and all of that is going to be factored in. There was a point in my life when the anxiety and depression was so severe. It was to the point where I never want to get back to that point again. It was a dark time. So yeah, there are so many symptoms to this thing. Thankfully, I don't have all of the symptoms. The best course of action is to try to manage the PCOS so I don't get more symptoms, if that makes sense. I do want you to do your own research, talk to your own doctor. This is my personal experience with PCOS. Everybody's experience is different. You have to have 2 out of 3 things in order to be diagnosed with PCOS. 1 being irregular periods, which I have. 2, high levels of male hormones, which I have. And then 3, you'd need to have other symptoms of PCOS. Something else that's very important that she mentioned to me is that people with PCOS, you usually have problems with insulin. This is why People with PCOS are at higher risk for diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. And that's also why women with PCOS gain a lot more weight a lot more quickly, and why it's harder for them to lose weight. I feel as though it's basically like my body fighting against itself, or my body fighting against me, because I kid you not, I've cut out red meat. Let me not say I cut it out, but for the most part I have cut it out. I don't eat it that often anymore. I eat way more fruits and veggies than I ever used to, drink more water. I've cut out caffeine for the most part, and I've seen no changes. I've seen no weight loss. If anything, I've seen more weight gain, but weight loss, no, no. And the thing is, for me to have changed my diet, I'm not the most active person out there, but I have been incorporating more exercise in my regimen as well, and still no change. And that's kind of disappointing, especially when you're trying so hard to lose the weight and you're doing what you need to do and you're making the changes and it's just not happening. It is so frustrating. And you know what's even more frustrating? Before I found out I had PCOS and I started gaining all this weight, I can't speak for everybody else. I can only speak for my Bahamian people, would like make comments on my weight, and especially people who've known me since I've been the size of a toothpick. And then the thing is, some days I would go all day without eating, or I'd have like one meal, and the minute I put one thing in my mouth, oh, see, that's why you fat now, that's why you look like that now, like you're not as pretty as you used to be with all that weight. Like, I'm already struggling with this new weight because I'm used to being small, and then for other people to always be chiming in, and it's not like they just say it once and leave it alone. Every time they see me, oh girl, you putting on so much weight, girl, you fat now, oh girl, you look like this. And then there was one person who was like, oh, you pregnant, eh? First of all, don't comment on my body. Second of all, don't ever ask me if I'm pregnant. If I tell you I'm pregnant, don't ask me. That's number two. Number three, I don't care if you say it in a joking way, oh ha ha ha, don't mention my weight because I can tell you about your ass. It's already something that's sensitive to me. And then there are some people who are like, oh girl, I like you with the weight because people like a girl with some meat. Listen, I didn't ask you that. I did not ask you that. I don't comment on people's weight, and I would love it if the world was a perfect place and they would not comment on my weight, but sadly that's not how it is. There are some people out there who can carry weight. I cannot. First of all, I'm extremely short, so someone like me puts on a lot of weight, I start to look jam up. I don't think Americans use that term, but I look uncomfortable and I feel uncomfortable in my own body because I'm so short. It's just frustrating because I'm doing everything that I should be doing and the weight isn't going anywhere. And like I said, when you have these thoughts in your head about your body, and then other people come and they make their little comments, and every time they see you they gotta mention your weight. Like one time I told somebody, I said, shutting up is always an option. You don't have to mention somebody's weight. You could always be quiet. And it's always the people who aren't a size 2 that's mentioning other people's body. Worry about yourself, okay? Don't worry about me and my weight. Worry about you and yours. Shutting up is always an option. That's my new motto. Your body basically holds on to weight. It holds on to fat. I kind of have to change my lifestyle in order to manage PCOS and in order to lose the weight. The changes I've made are good changes. It's just I might need to do a little more. Some people have been prescribed medication to aid them in their weight loss journey. I've heard a lot of people talk about metformin. It's for diabetics, but a lot of women with PCOS are prescribed this to aid in weight loss because, like I said, it is a lot harder for somebody with PCOS to lose weight because it's like the body's fighting against itself and it's holding on to that fat. It's holding on to that weight. Would I ever take metformin? I don't know. I have an appointment with my OBGYN in a few weeks and I'm going to talk to her about that. Well, we're going to talk about diet on the whole and how to best work on me losing the weight. And I will bring up metformin to her. Even if she doesn't bring it up herself, she might bring it up herself, who knows. And yeah, we're going to talk about other stuff and other ways I can manage the PCOS. One way that we did discuss managing the PCOS last time I saw her was birth control pills. She prescribed Yaz birth control pills. She said that the Yaz birth control pills has ingredients that target symptoms of PCOS specifically. So that is one of those birth control pills that many women with PCOS take. When I went to Walmart, they told me that they had to order it, so I had to go back and get mine, and they gave me the generic version, And thank God for health insurance, because the generic was $142.95. So just imagine how much the name brand is. I'm gonna put the name up there, loryna. I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm just gonna put the name on the screen. That is the birth control pills that they gave me as the generic brand. I just want to say, I've never been a fan of taking pills. I just told my friends this the other day. If I have a headache, I will suffer through the headache for as long as I can if it means I won't have to take a pill. I just don't like the idea of putting pills in my body. And then these birth control pills that I take make me nauseous. Oh, it's very uncomfortable. Usually I drink ginger tea and I sleep it off, but there was this one night that it was so bad that I just could not. It just wasn't happening. It wasn't working. And I stayed up till like 5, 6 in the morning, and that's when it started to wear off and I was able to sleep then, and it messed up my sleeping pattern ever since. The thing is, when I read the instructions for this birth control pill, literally they said feeling sick to your stomach is a side effect. I've definitely experienced it, and they said to continue taking, and that those sick to your stomach nausea feelings can last up to 3 packs. And I'm praying to the Almighty Father up above that I don't have to deal with that. I haven't been taking this for too long. It's been about 3 weeks. I'm still on my first pack. I feel sick every day. I feel nauseous every single day. I'm still taking the pills, but like I said, I'm going to see my OBGYN in a few weeks. So I'm going to mention that side effect to her and see if maybe she'll prescribe something different. And I don't want to do the whole, what's it called, Nexplanon, what goes in your arm. I'm not comfortable with any of those birth control methods that help regulate hormones. But if I had to choose, the birth control pills would be the most preferred, which is why I chose the birth control pills. So if I have to deal with the nausea and the whatever, I'm gonna deal with it. It's not pretty, it's not pleasant, it pisses me off, but at least I know by the 3rd pack it'll be gone. So that's 3 months from now. She also told me when it comes to the whole fertility thing, if at any point I want to get pregnant, come to her and we can see how best we can try to make that happen. When I told certain people that I had PCOS, I haven't told a bunch of people. I'm not mad at anybody. I feel like because other people don't have it or experience it or maybe don't know much about it, or it doesn't seem like, okay, you're not dying. And I'm not throwing myself a pity party, but it is frustrating and a bit annoying. People kind of brush it off. With the whole infertility part, I won't know how fertile I am until I'm really ready to have kids. I'm not in that position yet. I'm stuck in this state of wondering, will it ever happen for me? I have a while to go before I know for sure if I'm gonna have kids. That part is what hit me the hardest out of all of this. Sure, give me birth control pills that make me feel sick every day. Tell me that I could possibly develop cancer, diabetes, high cholesterol, and blood pressure. Things that already run in my family anyway, and now I'm at an even higher risk for developing it. Tell me all of that and I'm able to take it. But tell me I can't have kids? Like, that put me in a mood. I told somebody about it and they were like, Annelia, why you gotta go to the negative? Ever since then, if I do have some type of negative thought or feeling about possibly not being able to have kids in the future, it's like I can't talk to anybody about it because I feel like I have to put out false positivity. I can't really express how I truly feel about that because then people are like, why are you being so negative? And it's not like I want to think about it. It's just sometimes you have those thoughts and you have to go through those feelings and emotions. And I go through a lot of feelings and emotions by myself. But when it came to that, I just really wanted to share that with somebody, and I got scolded for feeling negatively about a situation that is my reality. The reality is there is a high possibility I may never be able to have kids, and it's like people brush it off. So for me, I'm probably not gonna mention it to nobody else. And I'm not saying that these people who I'm around are bad people. It's just they probably don't feel as deeply or strongly about it as I do. I can't be mad at them for that, and I'm not. It's just a little annoying, and maybe I'm just sensitive about it, so I'm taking it a certain way. But you know, all I can do is not put fake positivity out there. I'm done with that. I do believe in God and I do need to have faith, and trying to have faith and be realistic is kind of like it's hard. So that's something that I just gotta learn to deal with. People love to say, get your problems to Jesus and go to sleep. So that's what I'm gonna do. I can't sit here and fret about it because my situation is my situation, and I just gotta trust and believe that God will make things happen in the right time. But to my understanding, when I do make this lifestyle change, it could possibly help to, I wouldn't say reverse, but maybe that is the right word to use, reverse certain symptoms. I've heard plenty of people say after being on the pill for so long, somebody said 6 years, somebody said 9 years. After that 6 to 9 years, their periods were regular. Some people said lifestyle changes. Like I said, I do need to make a lifestyle change in order to see weight loss. The metformin may not be for me because, to my understanding, only certain women are prescribed metformin. When it comes to weight loss and trying to prevent becoming diabetic, that may not be for me. Now, diabetes does run in my family, so maybe my OBGYN may say, this is a good medication for you to take. She may order more recent blood work for me to take to see if I'm diabetic, pre-diabetic. The last time that I took a blood test, I was not diabetic and I was not pre-diabetic, but that could have changed since then. But it's all in God's hands now. I am going to do my part, and I'm going to stay consistent with the birth control pills because I have to if I want to see a period. And then I'm also going to keep working with my OBGYN to see what we can do to, just help my overall wellness. I usually focus on hair stuff, but I think I want to start sprinkling a few videos here and there about PCOS and about my journey to being healthier and trying to manage it. I think that would be helpful to a lot of people because I be on here on YouTube trying to look up videos and I see the same few videos pop up on my YouTube. I know there are other people out there who are probably going to be diagnosed with this and they're going to be like, this is all? This little bit of people are who talking about it on YouTube? Like, where are all the people speaking out about this? I think I'm just gonna sprinkle it in here and there, How did Salt Bae do it? I don't look like him. But, just sprinkle it in there. But yeah, this video was kind of therapeutic for me. It was a little rant. And then it was also like sharing my experience so I get that off my chest. Because I'm not even gonna lie, ever since I found out that I have PCOS, I'm connecting the dots. That might be connected to that, or it is connected to, to PCOS. So it's like aha moments, or, like a light bulb going off, like this is why this was going on. This is why this was happening. If you find out that you have PCOS and you need to find some information, I hope this video helps somehow, some way. Or future videos when I do change my lifestyle and I share that with you guys. I just want to be of help to people. And so you don't have those same 3 or 4 videos that pop up when you type in PCOS. Because that is not helpful. I mean, it's helpful, but you need more people talking about this. But yeah, that is all for today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Bye, y'all.